Lost Art of Fishing Stories, written by Andrew Cox. Get your copy today. Go to Amazon and search The Lost Art of Fishing Stories. The Lost Art Project, Veteran Voices with Andrew Cox. Preserving history, one veteran story at a time. Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast that's given a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art Project, Veteran Voices with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project, Veterans Voices. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat, and we have a special guest and also some members of the crew. So, hey, we're going to have a good time. I don't know if you're going to have a good time, but I'm going to have a good time. Hopefully, you're going to have a good time with me. If you're enjoying these podcasts, make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. There are a couple of ways you can help support us here on the podcast. You can always go in there, click on that one-time donation link. You can click on Become a Patron. That's a monthly donation. Or you can just purchase some cool merchandise. We do have some cool stuff. And you can advertise right here on the podcast if that floats your boat. Big shout out to the Till Valhalla Project out there doing some amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. If you do know something about them, go check them out anyways. It doesn't matter. But we need to support them as best we can. I encourage you all, go to their website. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, here we are, man. I got our special guest. Also got one of the crew members here, Mike. We lost Mark a second ago, so I don't know what happened there. He'll probably jump back on here in a little bit. But, so Aaron Kershaw, how you been doing, man?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Hey, listen, AJ, thanks for having me. Mike, nice to meet you, buddy. Looking forward to our chat tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. It'll be good. Be a good time. I'm looking forward to it. Now, what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Dutchess County, 90 minutes or so north of New York City.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you got some really cool air up that way right about now, huh?
Yeah, we do. Well, where are you guys located? So I have some relevance.
I'm in Oklahoma, and Mike is where you at?
I'm down here in Southwest Georgia.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, so this nice diverse area. Yeah. So we had some nice snow come through up here, and I'm fortunate I got a little bit of a lake out over here, so I got a really pretty view during the day.
Nice. That's the way it should be. Carlos is he's one of my co-hosts whenever I do the Marine Corps League podcast episode, and he is from New York City as well. He's actually in the city somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, but up there in New York area. So
I grew up right down at the Bronx border. Spent a lot of time in New York City. I just like the peaceful life these days.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Yeah, I'm not a fan of cities myself, so I try to steer clear of them as best I can. But it doesn't always work out that way. So let me hit Mike real quick. Mike, how are you doing? How are things there?
I'm doing good. Just working, trying to gear up for the holidays here, going into this month, and so we were talking about earlier, trying to get some Christmas lights up, but it ain't happening because of the weather right now. So.
Yeah,
I am behind. I'm not shimming a ladder in the rain and all that stuff. So
yeah.
I'm not that hardcore.
you'd turn into something crazy. Dan Harrington, hello from balmy Minnesota. Woo, yeah. It's cold up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, buddy. Well, shoot.
That's the cold weather training mecca for American military.
Yeah. That's a good place for it. Yeah, it gets cold there. Yeah. Well, Aaron, I'm excited to have you on here, man. I found you on TikTok, right? Isn't that where we
yes
met up? Yeah,
no,
that's right.
I found you. I came, you were on my FYP page, and I liked what you had to say. I don't really pay a lot of attention. There's so much noise out there.
Oh, yeah.
But I appreciated what you had to say, and that's why I actually chimed in, which is something I really don't do as well. And then, we chatted, you invited me, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. And you're an author, published author. You also founded, what is it, the Bright Path Academy, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I always, everybody that comes on has to tell me a little bit about their history. So if you don't mind, let's hear a little bit about your history, like where you grew up, what drew you to military service, and then kind of walk us through your career.
Oh, no worries. I'm an open book, right? So look, I'm in my mid-50s, so it puts me square in Gen X, right? So we grew up at a time when all of the volunteers for everything we did were veterans. Soccer, the Boys and Girls Club. That's where my story is. Not so much soccer, but the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
And the volunteers there, the dads were veterans. Being part of, I became a Boy Scout, right? So it's that the way we all grew up kind of similar back in the day, right? And what I found is I'm going to the American Legion halls. I'm hearing the stories. They turned a roller skating group into a marching unit. Then we were trained by Marine Corps vets. So listen, let me tell you, at 12 years old, we had a broomstick put between our belt loops behind us, and we were taught how to walk in a straight line.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one to use too.
Yeah, listen, it worked. We ended up, as youth groups go in New York, we were first or second for a bunch of years. But the point is that we spent all this time before and after at the American Legion Hall.
Yeah.
I'm in high school. I'm a wrestler. I blew out my ankle, so I couldn't go off and follow up with it. But I could make my way to the service. And, what else was I going to do there? I mentioned the Marines who were there to train me. I couldn't go into anything else. Now, here's a funny backstory, right? My mother was a Cub Scout den mother.
Okay.
She had 7 boys. Okay. Out of those 7 boys, 4 Marines, 1 Air Force, and 2 civilians.
No kidding.
But those were also the same kids whose fathers were volunteers. So, but the whole thing of just coming out of the Scouts, and my mom, out of 7 kids, put out 4 Marines.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's, growing up, I grew up in New Rochelle, New York, a suburb right outside of the Bronx in New York City. We're very diverse. I'm half Italian. So I grew up with my Italian grandparents, but my best friends are Jewish, they're Spanish, who's Mexican just arrived.
Yeah.
Even people just arriving over from Italy. And so nationalism wasn't nationalism. It was just, I'm an American. This is what we do.
Yeah.
We're second generation people. So I grew up with that understanding. My grandparents came over in the 1920s, and the other side of my family had been here hundreds of years, right?
Right.
So for me, it was just wanting to make my own mark. And the Marine Corps is the place you become a man, and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah. That's a good point. Now, what year was it that when did you join the military or join the Marine Corps?
I was in 89 to 92.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I took a year off after high school. It's funny, I managed a local Domino's pizza. one of the assistant managers. And the recruiter was like, dude, you cannot go from managing a business to the Marine Corps. It's like, they will crush you. So I worked in auto parts for a year, just to do nothing. I honestly, I did nothing but smoke a lot of pot. Like, just hung out for a year. I was like, hell, I'm going in the Marine Corps. I may as well just have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great.
That's wild. So you did a year of prep work. I mean, you knew you were going in. So were you in the delayed entry at that point?
Yeah, so I was in the delayed entry program. I actually started that while I was still in high school.
Oh, wow.
I had an ankle problem, so the ankle acted up. I was in delayed entry for a year and a half before I ultimately went, because I had an injury, and then a lot of people, you deal with that introspectiveness. Wow, I have an out, and rather than going the out, I just became more in. And,
nice.
I healed up and I went to boot camp in December of '89, which was nice. I left right before Christmas, had Christmas in boot camp.
Yeah, that's always fun. I loved Christmas and boot camp when I was a drill instructor. That was a good time.
Oh, you were a drill instructor?
Yeah.
Oh,
Christmas was fun. Christmas was real fun.
Yeah, you would have loved guys like me whose moms were bakers and they loved to send boxes, even though they knew what would happen to me.
Yeah, buddy. I love it.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. So my related drill instructor story would be, I ended up serving with my drill instructor, adjacent, but my senior drill instructor was a survivor of Beirut bombing.
Okay.
And he was with the 24th Marine Amphibious Unit. So then ultimately, 89, he's my senior. And fast forward, I think it was between my first and second deployments. So this was 91. And it was in the best and worst possible way, because I ended up I went motor T. I ended up becoming part of the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Yeah.
That was 6 months out of boot camp. 6 months from the Marine Corps. I literally was with the MEU, and I spent 2 years with the MEU. And I'm in my truck, and we worked a lot with 2-8, 1-8, and the rest. And I worked with everybody. On this one occasion, I heard the voice, and it was, Kershaw, is that you? And I swear, man, I get chills now thinking about it. So suffice to say, about 5 minutes later, I definitely was on my face, even though I was a Lance Corporal at this point. Reaction, like, yeah, Kershaw, show him what our relationship was like. Diamonds, here we go.
Very nice. And that's the way it should be. You see your drill instructor out in the fleet, you should automatically just get down and get ready to push. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, the relationship, more than I, when you've through creating Marines, but the respect level that we all have for our senior drill instructor is, I have more respect for my senior drill instructor than my own father. Not to put down dad, but I mean, at the end of the day, yeah. If I have a tattoo that I have on my body that's I thought it was the same spot as his. It ended up being a little bit higher. But yeah, I'm crazy like that.
I like it. So you joined Motor T. You went on the MEU right away. Where were some of the places that you went on the MEU?
So first deployment on the MEU was 6 months. We were already slated to leave January of 1990 within our rotation. So work up, went to Puerto Rico. But then when we went out, this was during Desert Storm, right after Desert Shield turned to Storm. And then we left. We hit a bunch of great spots. I mean, anybody that's been on a med float, we hit the regulars from Rota, Spain to Toulon, France, with time off, so in different time frames. I mean, I probably spent 4 weeks in Toulon, and it was a lot of fun. Other spots that I got to enjoy, it was a shortened float because we ended up going in country into Iraq. So I lost out on getting all the way to Israel.
Right.
But we hit Italy, France, and then it was Turkey, and a 25-hour convoy over Syria into Iraq to then become Operation Provide Comfort.
Okay. Huh.
So
wow.
yeah,
That's pretty wild. And now, how long of a convoy, or how long were you on the convoy? You said
I was a 25-hour straight convoy.
Whew. Yeah,
It was a nonstop. We were in the middle of offloading to do training maneuvers in Italy, halfway offloaded, and then we got the orders to just on board, gripe it down. And then we landed in Turkey in Iskenderun, and then just started offloading. And within 24 hours, I believe, we were en route into northern Turkey. That they ended up, it's a base now. The base that's there in northern Turkey at the Iraq border, I was one of the first, 50 trucks to show up.
Huh, that's really interesting. So you kind of helped stand that one up then.
No, that, you know what? That was the Seabees, man. Those Seabees, I'll tell you. As soon as we arrived, because I was a truck driver, one of the things I learned was get as many licenses as you can. It's an easy way to kind of get easy duty, right? But it worked against me because I got an ambulance license figuring, you know what, every time there's a hump, I just drive the emergency vehicle. But when we went in country after a 25-hour drive, they threw me on a helicopter to go and relieve the advance party ambulance drivers, because we only had 4 in my entire platoon, and we were in teams of 2. So I ended up driving an ambulance for the first 3 weeks that I was in country in Iraq, and we set up the 1,500-mile no-fly zone. So, and we brought the Kurds out of the mountains, and that was when we did the non-combatant evacuation operation, right? And it's all the humanitarian side of limiting the enemy's fields of fire or potential influx or issues with us evacuating what turned out to be more than 1 million Kurdish refugees.
Right.
But like I have PTSD, and it comes from those first 3 weeks of driving an ambulance and I'm a Marine. I mean, shooting people, cool. But dealing with the other aspect of it is kind of what had the lasting memories with me.
Yeah. That's me and Mike deployed with a guy that did a bunch of that in his first deployment, and man, that kind of messed him up for a while. But he was the guy taking people off the helicopters when they were injured, and taking them into the hospital. So I can understand that completely. That'd mess with somebody's mind for sure.
Well, the one fun story, I won't get too graphic, but the one, these old vets used to tell me stories. You knew that you were in the shit when, right? And you knew when was with the ambulance. We go through our basics on first aid, but we're taught about a sunken chest wound. And, you think, okay, yeah, whatever. And at this moment, you got the corpsmen are working on civilians. There's non-military personnel, and there had just been a firefight that we had to sit back and watch the night before. So literally, we couldn't engage, but now we have all the wounded, and they're overwhelmed. I understand the ambulance out, and he's like, I need you to come over here. Back in the day, we didn't use gloves. Like this, gloves are new. I remember he gave me, it was a 4x4. It wasn't even one of our big pads. It was just like a 4, maybe a 6x6. He's like, here, just hold this over his chest. I remember applying that to the chest and it just getting sucked right into that guy's chest.
Wow.
And I'm like, it's sunken chest wound. Because I mean, like, what a sunken, And he's like, well, you better get it out. And I'm like, okay, you know, again, I was an old pot smoker, so I knew about forceps, right? So like, okay, you got forceps, use your fingers. So
Oh
it was
man.
reached my fingers in, and that was okay, yep, you're in the shit now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it wasn't what I had trained for, right?
Wow. Man, that is pretty wild. And a sucking chest wound, that's no joke right there, man. That is, you got to do something about that quick, or it's going to go downhill really fast.
I have no other memories of that moment. Like, so I can't tell you what happened. Like, that's a trauma event in my brain, whether he lived, he died, or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, that was interesting. The stuff with the kids was, there's a whole lot of parts and aspects of war that, I feel for those 13 Marines that died a couple of years ago, because A, they were from my unit, and B, they did the job, the exact role that we did, the non-combatant evacuation operation. And it's the humanitarian side that really sits with us, because we're trained to deal with that. That's an enemy. I'm shooting when the time that I did get to engage, that never bothered me. It is what it is. And I was fortunate that nobody around me was injured or died, that I didn't have that to carry.
Right.
But I can say that the way my PTSD presents from that, it creates a more compassionate individual. And ultimately, that can't be a bad thing, right? That's an upside.
Yeah. Absolutely. I could definitely see that. Holy cow. Now, how long were you guys over there?
So we spent about 4 months in country. About 4 months, maybe 5 in country. We ended up arriving back stateside in August. Our float ended up being 7.5 months. It was supposed to be 6. It ended up at 7.5 months. But what was really distinct about my career was that 3 months later, they sent us back out again.
No kidding.
Yes. So normal float rotation, you're home for 18 months. And we were told, so we kind of, what I was told is we redefined what the Marine Expeditionary Units were capable of, because of the how we, apparently 30 something days, self-sustained, blah, 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 blah. Like, we blew all that out the water. And I don't know what it was, but ultimately we were back underway in November of that year.
Wow.
On another 6-month deployment.
And it was the same MEU, correct?
The same MEU, but we swapped out battalions though. So we had a fresh battalion, half of our unit, half of our unit. So I was with my direct unit was the Marine Service Support Group. We're in French Creek.
Yeah.
Half of that unit was swapped out with new people that had zero training to go through learning what it's like to be in an actual, a special operations capable MEU. That so much pressure was put on those second floaters that, like, I got caught up repainting every vehicle that we had in that 90 days, right? It was absolutely insane. But most of the guys that I know, we all suffer from a heavy amount of PTSD because we never got to decompress. They sent us right back. And on that second float, I ended up, I only made it halfway through. I took I was medevac back here to the States, which, the slowest medevac in history of 14 days, but it was a lot of fun. It was nothing major.
14-day medevac. Very nice.
It was great. I had more fun and sore, because they took us to naval bases to pick up people. That's what it was. It's like they just had to keep picking people up, and then you leave out of road to Spain. But we started in Germany, and that's where I was in the hospital. I was there at the hospital in Germany, right? But it was the whole thing was it was an interesting experience. We ended up in parts of Africa on the second time out, and my injuries are not combat directly related.
Yeah.
My knees were just completely shot, and then there was I got into a fight, so that was the other part of it. And what was good is I have to say, Clinton came in and he was downsizing, and the MEU wants you to be 110%.
Yeah.
And I had a problem with a staff sergeant from my first float that he was just upset that I got to be in country more because of licensing, and look, I do what I do, whatever it is. And he held his grudge with me. So he basically pushed me to either, we went on a 5-mile boots and ukes, and I made it back, but my knees were trashed. And I switched out my post for a sitting post.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like that. He said, "You have to stand your standing post." I'm like, I'm not trying to get my 4 hours off. I'm just taking, the dude's going to switch out post with me so I could sit.
Yeah.
He pushed it up the chain of command, and they gave me a choice: either suck it up or go home. Okay,
Wow.
well, this is little over 3 months into my second float. I'm at like 13 months of sea duty within 16 months, right?
Yeah.
On 2 separate floats. And, so okay, see you later. And I came back to the States, and that the 14 days was interesting. But when I got back to the States, my med board was 3 months. I was shocked. I was actually in the middle of rebuilding my 67 Chevelle, and I'm out of the Marine Corps. And so my time in the Marine Corps was exactly 2 years and 6 months to the day.
Wow. No kidding. Wow, that's pretty wild. And it was from, what were the dates again that you joined and got out?
December 89 to May 1992.
Okay. And Mark, when did you where were you at during that time frame?
I was in 3-1.
3-1?
Yep.
Yeah. Right on.
Then what about you, AJ?
I was in 89. I was still a twinkle. And no, I'm just kidding. I'm not that young. No, 89. I was in junior high, I guess.
Oh, all right.
Maybe.
And Mike?
Well, I graduated high school in 92 and went into the Marine Corps in August of 92. So 89, I guess that would have made me, a freshman?
Yeah, that sounds
Something
right.
like that, a sophomore. I don't know.
So my second wife was in 6th grade.
That's about where I was, I think, sixth grade. Yeah. Which is where I met my wife. Was 6th grade in the hallway, and I came home and told my mom I met a girl, and I'm going to marry that girl someday. And eventually, I hounded her enough that she gave in. So.
See, that's a beautiful story. That's the American dream right there.
Oh man. And she's, we're coming up on 30 years. Next year will be 30 years worth of marriage. So pretty
God
crazy.
bless.
Yeah. Now Mark's been married quite a bit longer than that. How long have you been married, Mark?
36 years plus.
36.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I met my wife when I was a drill instructor the first time in 1987. And she's been with me, 25 years with me, and eight deployments. 8 of those, 8 of my 9 deployments.
God bless that woman.
I know, right?
Yep.
Well, God
Yep.
bless all your wives,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
Andrew and I are kind of the
something
same
special.
thing. This past Saturday was my wife and mine 29th anniversary. So,
Yeah.
Outstanding.
So we're all doing pretty good to be married to the women we're married to.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So,
It's a good point.
I give you guys credit for that, right? So there's a guy that I was close with when I was in. He was this guy Kern, and I always called him a lifer. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be a lifer. You're gonna be a lifer. Well, wouldn't you know, not only is he married to the same woman that he married right before our first float, he ended up spending, I don't know, like 22 years in the Marine Corps, got out as like a staff sergeant or a master sergeant, something like that. And I was just like, I called it back then, but I'm so proud that I served with somebody who went on to stay in the Marine Corps. Yeah. I have that story to tell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool, man. Well, now once you got out, what was your, like, what did you end up doing, and like, what was your path?
So when I got out of the Marine Corps, you know, with my skill set being driving a truck and knowing how to operate a machine gun and, you know, field of fire, and not being able to join the police force because my mother was a police dispatcher. So part of going into Marine Corps was like, okay, I can get out and become a New York State trooper. You know, I'm 5'11". Back then, they still had that whole height thing going on. I'm like, okay, that'll look good. That'll be a good look. There's my life right there. But getting out, having knee issues, back issues, ultimately, you know, going into police force wasn't an option.
Right.
So I leaned back on the truck driving side.
Gotcha.
And, you know, us Marines, we like to drink, right? And drinking, we get bored at certain places. So, you know, growing up, there was a guy that owned a couple of tow trucks in our neighborhood. He had some great Harleys. You know, we used to like go and talk to him. A friend of mine drove one of his trucks. So I'd go home on leave. I'd go hang out in this guy's tow truck and, you know, do whatever. But I'm hanging out in this bar I never hung out in before. And this guy walks in. He's like, oh, I hear you just got out of Marine Corps, blah, blah, blah. And we're shooting the shit. And he's like, yo, so you were a trucker. That was like a record driver. And I'm like, kind of, yeah. You know, he offered for me. He's like, I'm looking for somebody to manage my trucks. I'm like, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. Aaron, I've known you. I've heard good things. Are you up for it? All right. Yes. 3 weeks later, I made him an offer to just lease the business from him. And, you know, he let me do that. And that started my whole business career with driving tow trucks. And I loved it, right? You know, cash business. I'm doing my own thing. And, you know, it was kind of like the Wild West back in the 90s in New York, in the Bronx. We're just going from the slings to the lifts back then. So it's it was total cowboy, and it fit my personality, right? So I did that for a few years, and the times were changing. Everybody started leasing cars back in the mid 90s. So ultimately he sold the company out from under me, but he did it in a great way because he started with just he gave me a pile of cash. And he's like, you know, I have a job for you and here. Okay, so I did what any good Marine would do is I got shit-faced. I invested it in something that's currently legal. And I then developed a way that I could sit at home and teach myself about this www thing, that AOL in my two fingers, because I could talk to women, right? And I'm doing that. And that ultimately led me to my next career, that was web development.
Nice.
And so, you know, one opportunity, a pile of cash, a whole lot of shrubs led me to working in New York City as a web developer for a website that became about.com. You know, and I did that for a few years. Ultimately, when the .com bubble burst, that was that. You know, they had offered me a VP position, but mentally, I'm 8 years out of being in the Marine Corps, and I was a blue collar guy. I don't know how to like. I watch these people in the. I can't. That's just not me. And ultimately, I couldn't even get a job back in that field because I didn't have a degree.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. And I wish I would have taken the VP role. That was protective because the company was bought out. And when it was bought out, I was the only one to go because I had too much power and didn't have the title. Right. But I ultimately landed with a local radio station that was looking to start to transmit online. And I was able to, so I created their programming. I wrote a program to stream their radio online back in 2001.
Wow.
And in payment of that, I had multiple radio shows that I hosted over 10
Oh, nice.
years. Yeah, so for me, that's what I did. I had radio. I was also doing web development and video and photography. Another adaptation from being a Marine is
Mhm.
understanding how to breathe, which leads me to how to take a good picture. And it all just kind of worked together, right? Just carrying on discipline and everything else. So yeah, I mean, I had my radio program for 10 years or so. I helped launch a West
Was
Point radio
that
program.
what was the specifically the program that you had?
So the program was called On the Inside,
Mm-hmm.
and it was on WVOX 1460 AM, WRTN 93.5 FM each Thursday evening from 6 to 8 p.m.
Got the
I
sales
used to
pitch there.
follow. Oh, wait, here I could do it this way. I used to follow Bill Mayer.
Yeah.
So once I get behind a microphone, my voice will automatically it'll adjust down to the tone. But yeah, I spent a lot of years on the radio, and
Nice.
I enjoyed it. It took me to a lot of places. I got to interview a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Most notably, I got to announce when Michael Jackson died.
Oh wow.
I got to have Peter Max, the artist. I don't know if any of you know of him. Mark, you should know of him. He's the designer of the Beatles album. He designed a couple of the Beatles albums. That's Peter Max. But and I'm only going by age, Mark. I'm just jabbing you. Right? So, but yeah, so being on the radio was great, and my PTSD had started creeping in my life. Let me get away from this. Then let my voice get back to normal over here. But yeah, so PTSD had started creeping into my life. About 40 years old, and I didn't know it, but becoming more agitated.
Yeah.
And I kind of abruptly quit my radio show. And I had 3 kids. I was a work from home dad at the time. So I had a lot of pressure, and managing 3 kids and a weekly radio show,
Not easy.
producing it. Yeah. So I opted for family because at the end of the day, that's what I was all about.
Yeah. That's the way it should be. You gotta look out for the family, That's one thing I think, at least. Now at that point you just you basically were doing your computer work and stuff from home.
Yeah, so at the time at different times I had a TV studio at one point where, because we were on the backbone, being in New Rochelle and being right outside of New York City, there was something called ISDN back in the day, which was one of the fastest internet connections you could have. This is the early 2000s. And a lot of politicians didn't necessarily want to travel into New York City. And once I realized that, I was in video, I had the radio connections. So I had a short-lived studio that we tried to provide that service. But technology moves so fast that But yeah, no, for the most part, I tried to work out of my home because it afforded me the opportunity to be close to the kids.
Yeah.
And I also like to always work with business. I like mom and pop businesses. So my target was always, I love working with restaurants, and it's like, I had a thing, I need to eat, you need a website. I understand you may not be able to afford a website, right? So I would make a deal. I had like a dozen different places where I never paid for food for probably 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Now
that's a good deal.
It worked. I could go anywhere I wanted. And when I brought clients, I'm treated like a king because all I did, I took care of those people. I provided the web services.
Yeah.
And I really didn't drink a lot. So I'm not going in there getting drunk or drinking a lot. I have 1 or 2 glasses of wine, but that $150 a month in food that cost them $50. Oh yeah. They're like all in. Absolutely. So,
yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah. I mean, look, where I grew up I grew up more on the Italian side of my family, right?
Mhm.
So where I grew up, my father was known as the Black Italian. Most of a lot of things that went on were handshakes.
Mhm.
You know, this is the world that I understood. So when I got into business and I'm trying to now get you to get a website and you don't know how it may work for you, and I understand that, but there's value to what I do, and I can help them out with other things. Always found ways to make it work for people, right?
Mhm.
My radio show, used to give my show away and just invite people on to promote their business services or their events.
Yeah.
You know, it's always been about what makes me feel good. What kind of legacy do I want to lead? And what am I also doing for my name? Because my father, my grandmother were both very well respected. So I need to be me, create my own shadow for everybody else, but still respect where I came from
Mm.
and create a legacy for my children, right?
Yeah. It's
So, yeah, absolutely. And that's why when PTSD and the physical side of being in the Marines hit me when I was 45 years old,
Mhm.
I could have taken 100% and retired.
Yeah.
And what I opted to do is not to fight them. I was at 90%.
Mhm.
And well, I went, so I didn't go to the VA until 2015.
Oh, wow.
The VA in the 90s was disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it was just even arguing with the government, they didn't care. It wasn't until we went to war again that they started to pay attention enough, right?
Yeah.
So I got out. I was medically separated back in, that was my separation, but I
Mhm.
didn't go back until 2015. I went in, I got 40%, went in again, and I got another 50 on top of it. You know, it's easy. Everything's documented. But I opted to go to the vocational rehabilitation route and
Mm.
go into college.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, matched to my career, that's what stopped me from working in the .coms and elevating
Yeah.
myself, right? That
Mhm.
stupid piece of paper. Or so I thought it was, a stupid piece of paper. You know, what I learned is that in college, you're exposed to so many different courses that, you know, for the most part, you can choose. And it made me think differently. But more importantly, it started teaching me about finances,
Mhm.
things that I didn't really understand. Because at the end of the day, if we can pay our bills and we got money left over, that's our budget. That's the way most people live, right?
Yeah.
And then it starts, then you have your child, or then you have a girlfriend who's like, hey, I want to go on vacation. And you're like, all right, I got to save for that. And then you're like, how do
Yeah.
I save? I'm going to put $20 away a week. And then 3 weeks go by and there's $60. And you're like, hey, honey, you want to go out to dinner? I'm going to spend that $60 we were putting away, because there's no conceptualization of the concept of saving for time and what it
Right.
will ultimately bring you, right? So it wasn't until I went to college that I started to change my thinking. And then I realized I'd run businesses, I'd done all of this, but I'd never been in a position that I had to budget and pay attention to money. And
Mhm.
I realized I didn't know how to budget. So
Mm.
what? I'm 45 years old, I got kids, and it didn't make sense, right? So
Yeah.
I started in finances in 2020. I started working with Ameriprise Financial. COVID was starting.
Mhm.
And at that time, there was an advisor who his person didn't want to come in. So I said, hey, I'll try it out. You offered me an opportunity to learn about finances.
Yeah.
I'm doing this in college. So within about a year, I had achieved my license to be a stockbroker.
Oh, wow.
I moved from I was in Mamaroneck, New York, doing that, and I
Mhm.
was offered an opportunity in Greenwich, Connecticut. And I worked and supported 6 different advisors. I was on the operations side,
Mhm.
and you know, all combined, they managed like $600-700 million.
Oh,
And
God.
oh yeah, these guys were amazing at what they do. Um, but this is why I also, within my writing and everything I do, it's very important for people to work with financial advisors. You
Yeah.
know, nothing that I do teaches people to go and do it on their own,
Right.
right? So working at Ameriprise, my focus is financial plans as well as money movements and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized that even wealthy people don't necessarily budget or don't understand some concepts of it. But while I was going through my deficiencies and my issues, there was nothing there out there. The VA did not have anything to teach me about my finances.
Mm-hmm.
They started a program a couple of years ago that there's these consultants. Okay, well, that's what, if you go on the va.gov, they recommend, I think they recently changed the name of it, but it's basically a third party that you can work with, but they're still just providing advice to you. They're not teaching you anything. So that you're still now remaining dependent on, I have to reach out to that person. And at some point, they're going to want money because they deserve to be paid, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Like, where is the teach me? Teach me so I can do it. In the military, we're taught that way. Like, I'm going to teach it to you so that you can teach it to others, so that you can then go and now you're empowered. The VA has not done that. And I learned why. Part of it is because the structure that the government has in place for financial advisors is very structured and limited on how we can provide advice. So, I earned my license to be a full financial advisor. I went on to earn my next level of licensing, but then I gave it all up because ultimately, to be an advisor and to be successful at it and to make a lot of money, you need to build up a following. You need to build up assets under management. I'm in my early 50s. I'm not going to make that much of a dent to really bring up my income so much. So I'm being a realist, right? But getting into finances, I really wanted to help other people. And there's no veteran sitting with us. To sit with an advisor, unless you're a journeyman, a teacher, a police officer, a fireman, where you're in a doctor, career trajectory, you need assets to sit with them, right? But if you're in one of those trajectories, you could sit with them at 25, 26, 27, because you know where your money's coming from steady, and we can plan for what you're going to do with it, right?
That makes sense.
But for everybody else, they can't. So then I started with, what am I going to do now? How am I going to make a difference? So I started writing financial books, and I started with a easy money adventure book that's written. Everything I write is based on my upbringing. Okay. All the advice we all get is like from an uncle, from an aunt, from a cousin. It could be Mike's younger than me, but he's a friend of the family. He goes, Aaron, no, come, let's talk about this. Let me give you some advice. It's the uncle, aunt, family mentality. So in my books, you're having a conversation with me. I'm not preaching at you. I'm not telling you where you should be. I'm also admitting mistakes that I've made. Okay. Like being that young Lance Corporal, taking money out, and then buying stuff. And then by the time the dust settles, I'm $400 in overdrafts, 4 days later, right? Because to me, life is about telling stories as illustrations for lessons.
Yeah.
Okay. So I took that, and what I wanted to do is to make it accessible to people, make it easier. So that's where the Bright Path Academy started. I need to make it easy for people. I can't be everywhere. So let's turn this into an online course. And how do I then present it to them? Okay, we have no attention spans, right? So a 90-minute course. The overall videos are 7 to maybe 12 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
Bite size, and you could stop it. There's also text as well, so you could read along and watch the video, or you can just read, whichever way people are comfortable with, right? But at the end of 90 minutes, or maybe an hour and a half, because if you do all the exercises, it's going to take you longer, right? But the content is only 90 minutes. Now, from that, we also have a book that's available on Amazon. Okay, that is Budget Like a Boss, which is the course I'm talking about, and Budget Like a Boss, the companion guide, which is 100 pages, and it then reinforces that lesson where now you're filling it out. Okay. You're filling out the information, and it starts with where's your budget. It teaches you about the mental aspects of how you spend money, because you need to understand where's your motivation, right?
Right.
It covers going over 10 or 12 chapters. By the time you get to the end, you not only understand your budget, you know how to modify it, and you understand why financial planning is important. So that is now available through the Bright Path Foundation for veterans. Okay. We started the Bright Path Foundation, which is a new 501c3. The website is brightpathfunds, FUNDS.org. And I started that so that I could provide it for free to veterans. I don't like red tape. I fucking can't stand red tape. There's too much to fill this out, talk to this guy, or the rest that I just can't deal with. So Bright Path Funds was created in order to facilitate me being able to pay for it all on the back end. Okay, but the important URL that I would like you to share is brightpathaccess.org. brightpathaccess.org. That's the website that any veteran or family member can go to, sign up for free, and you will receive the course that I'm talking about, the Budget Like a Boss course, and an additional 10 other courses. So, I'm trying to stay focused. I know we're getting up to an hour, but what I've done is I've created an ecosystem, right? I'm not here to talk about me as an author, because me as an author was just a means of me working out the BS in my head so that I could present it to people, right? And, so there's a lot of books that are on Amazon, but it's more important the substance of the books. And there's books, I wrote a book on resiliency where I tell personal stories. Everything we do is focused on emotional intelligence. I had a problem talking to my 19-year-old son because he did something, and every time I wanted to text him, I was angry.
Yeah.
I'm like, but it wasn't him, it was me. And then I realized through talking to my therapist that that's my trauma. And I did some research on this, and I realized that us as parents, we carry a lot of shit to our kids that have nothing to do with our kids.
Right.
And so a lot of my writing comes from recognizing we all have this trauma, and we're just trying to do the best we can. So we have an addiction series that literally just admits we became an addict because we're just trying to get through our everyday. It's not that we're a fuck up. It's not that we're a piece of crap. We're just trying to survive. And the name of the series is Used to Survive, because, AA makes people feel guilty about using, but sometimes you just need to take the edge off, or you literally may kill somebody, or kill yourself. Like, to me, to just go have a shot if you need to have a shot, because you understand why you're having that shot. Go smoke a joint if you need to smoke a joint, because you understand why you're smoking the joint. And if I'm, then that's half your battle. Now, my fathers were alcoholics. I was an alcoholic when I was younger. I was a crack addict when I was in high school managing that business because a lot of stress. So I come from this as a place of truth, trying to create material that's real. That's not bullshit. That it's like you having a conversation with your uncle or your friend. So the problems with my son led to a 3-book series that's for parents to recognize their trauma, for the teenager to read, and even for a elementary school age, because if you got a teenager and a parent that are butting heads, and you got an elementary school kid there, they all have voices that need to be heard. The parent's voice needs to be heard, because the parent needs to hear about their own trauma to themselves, to then be able to turn to their son or their child and be like, you know what? I yell at you so much because, you with these dishes. When I was younger, we didn't have a dishwasher. And my mom would come in and break dishes if I didn't wash the dishes. So when I ask you to put these dishes in there, I keep hearing my mom, I got to do this. And it's not you, it's me. Parents need the space to recognize and be able to say that. And the child needs to not be an asshole, right? So
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because I was that asshole, though. I'm write it from truth, right? So that's why I'm like, how do I get my son to listen to me? So that's why it's a 15-chapter journey, but it fits right into counseling. So if they're already going to therapy, the therapist can say, okay, you're going to read chapter 1. We're going to talk about how you both felt about chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
It opens up conversations.
Yeah.
That's really what social emotional learning is about, is creating a comfortable enough environment within yourself so that you can interact with the world around you and see it for what it is, not for what our trauma reads it to be.
Okay. I like that. Now, and where can people find this book? Or you said a series of books, correct?
Yes. So everything that I have is on Amazon. If they just search my name, Aaron B. Kershaw, or Uncle Aaron on Amazon, they'll find my books. Through the Bright Path Academy, they'll also find my books. I really want people to more so find the Academy because it's an inexpensive way to get access to these resources. I had to write the books because you need proof of concept, right? You need to have something physical. I never want to be somebody that just creates something and you can't physically hold it, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
I want it to, you need the book, right? And then in what we've done, the budgeting book, it's also in Spanish.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
I'm creating an ecosystem that allows people to go and learn it online. If they want to go buy the book, go buy the book. But I'd rather them learn it online because if there are, to the non-veteran listeners, whatever you spend to educate yourself on the Bright Path Academy goes directly to educate veterans and their families. Whereas if you buy my Amazon book, they're taking 60% of that.
Yeah.
And, I don't need profit. I need to support the website. And that's what costs me monthly. Like I'm paying out of pocket for that. So, I want to help veterans because ultimately, look, my life went to crap because I didn't have the emotional resources and the financial wherewithal, right?
Yeah.
And luckily, I didn't become an alcoholic or I didn't end up in drugs because I did that earlier in life. And I knew that I have to be here for my children right now.
Yeah.
Right. And so the only way that I figured to do that was through understanding myself better. And the programs that I've created is to help other people understand themselves better without reading a 300-page book or going to a 6-week lesson or spending $2,500 to go to somebody's 3 freaking day getaway just to sit there and la. You have to be the light of your life before you can help other people type of stuff. Like, I'm not against that, but the truth is you just need to be comfortable with speaking your truth to your people.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Wow. Now Mark, he's been doing, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you've been doing financial stuff with Wounded Warrior, or not Wounded Warrior. Sorry. Man. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, Wounded Warrior Project.
Yeah.
I'm the financial readiness specialist. We're financial counselors. I've also got my AFC, my accredited financial counselor certificate.
Nice.
So,
I'd love for you to look at what I have to see if there's value to the members that you're working with to help them get a little pre-education before they come and sit with you folks to make your life a little easier.
yeah, definitely. Would definitely like to take a look at it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Anything that can help those veterans out, during their time of need, because it happens. I mean, it happens all the time. And I'm sure Mark, you can talk to that quite a bit.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it might be the same material, but here in a different way, different
yeah,
method, it might it might make it click, you know.
true.
Um, yeah. So it's just like, and you're a father. You're telling your kids something, and you're giving them the straight advice about how it should be done, and they don't listen to you. But like I said, your uncle, your brother, someone else, their uncle tells them the exact same thing, and then it's like, oh wow, that's a great idea.
Man, how frustrating is that though, man?
Oh yeah.
Whew.
So here's the truth on why that exists and what could change. It's about the stories we tell with the lesson, right? As parents, we're too protective. We don't necessarily want to be so open with them that they can hold it against us, use it against us. So when we tell them something, we're just explaining to them how it is, how it operates, how to do it, but we're not illustrating it to them. So in the case of boot camp is, hey, dumbass, pay attention, watch. Here's the truth of it. But you still don't tell us how you guys may have ever messed it up. But you drill it into us. We can't treat our kids that way. It's easier if we say, look, you should fill it this way. Like I'm pouring a beer. I'm going to teach you how to pour a beer. You're going to fill it slowly like this. But why? Why? Because if you don't, it's going to bubble all over. Trust me, back in the day, let me tell you something. I did it like this, and it ends up going all over the place. Now I've illustrated the story. You know what? My son is going to do it exactly the way I told him. Why? Not because I told him how to do it, but because by telling him the story, I've illustrated and I've explained where I made the mistake or where I learned this from. Yeah. And that's what they get from the uncle, because the uncle's like, hey, yo, look, you're going to do it like this. Trust me. But the uncle may be like, look, back in the day, your father, he made a mess all over the place.
Yeah. He tells the story about the dad. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, but like I've lied to my kids. I've told my kids bullshit like stories that are self-deprecating to prove a point. Because the truth is, in my life, the truth probably is more damaging than telling them a lie, like the way if I could remember the truth. But the point is that I firmly believe that the way to teach is through stories. It's happened this way for thousands, tens of thousands of years. And we've gotten away from it in a lot of teaching because teachers cannot tell stories as a method of teaching in public schools. Okay, they can't tell their own personal stories, right? So in all of my books, we provide that, right? But as parents, we need to just embrace telling our story to our kids.
Telling your story is important, man. That's why this podcast exists is, hey, we want to hear the story. We're going to document it for future generations. That way they have it. So,
I'm really happy to be part of this. I feel like my story needs to be documented, not because it's about me, but because it's the veteran experience of being able to utilize systems that are in place within the VA, taking advantage of vocational rehabilitation, taking advantage of opportunities that presented to me to then better myself and turn it into creation of resources. And I know it's in most of our veteran hearts that we just want to help others, right? So my story, to me, I just wanted to inspire others because it's in all of us to do exactly the same type of thing that I'm doing, right? Like it's just help others with your truth. And that's why AA worked so well for a lot of people, because it was based on a lot of the storytelling, right?
Yeah.
And going off of that type of model, and plus I love telling stories. You guys could tell I could talk.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. You got to have stories. That's what keeps the world going around, in my opinion. So, and it's okay to exaggerate a little bit from time to time. I almost all of my stories, I exaggerate something. You know, I got to make it more interesting. So.
Yeah, well, fortunately, like I have a lot of different stories to tell because, I was a professional photographer for 20 years, and man, I'm not shy, so I've gotten pictures with everybody. I've pissed people off, where I was not hired back again, and I didn't give a shit. That's where the Marine in me. I'm like, you act like an asshole to me, I'm gonna act like an asshole back to you, but in a funny way, like not a disrespectful way, but like Michael Strahan I don't like him so much, but I did get to meet President Clinton.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, that was interesting because he put his arm on my shoulder, and I was introduced to him as a U.S. Marine, and he's like, when did you, he asked me when I served, and I told him. He's like, what unit were you with? And I'm like, the first unit you deployed as president. And he was like, 24th Marine Expeditionary. I was shocked that he remembered that. But yes.
That's pretty awesome.
And so he stood there. We talked for 5 minutes. I have my camera. I'm there to cover the event.
Yeah.
And so he had his arm on my shoulder, and then he starts to talk to other people. And just turned slightly. He spoke to 3 other people before he removed his hand off my shoulder. It was interesting. And then, more so, I had a beer with Hillary later on during that night, where she invited me to sit with her.
That's cool. Yeah. Wow.
And that was 9 days after she lost the 2016 election.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Dang. She was a little bitter at that point in time.
No, she wants to drink. I mean, not that it's a bad thing. Like she can't. I remember they came in, they tried to give them champagne. They liked it, both of them. They put the champagne. I got to give her credit. There's a local brewery in New York called Yonkers Brewery.
Okay.
Got to give a shout out to Yonkers Brewery. Got to go check them out. Great brews, right? But I actually have a picture on my Instagram of Hillary holding the beer with the Yonkers Brewery logo. I made her pose for that. I took 4 photos.
Yeah.
Like I took it. I was like, no, wait, do it again. Do it again. Do it again before I got that photo. And she was great. But I'm not shy. Like once you find out I'm a Marine, like I got some jokes. I'm like, you know what? Can you do me a favor? Can you just hold that? I'm like, people have been talking about you. Like, you guys are champagne drinkers. You're over here drinking beer. She's like, I prefer beer. I was like, can I take a picture of you with that? And she's like, this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Man, that's cool stuff. Well, shoot. Aaron, thanks for coming on and telling a little bit about yourself and about what you got going on. I mean, I've had a good time. I don't know about everybody else, but I've had fun. So it's good stuff. I can't wait to go on the website, check everything out. Again, I'll pull that up. Hold on. For the veterans out there, you can go to brightpathaccess.org. You'll be able to sign up and everything that way, correct?
Correct.
And then you can also, for everybody, brightpathfunds.org. If you go to that website, you can also find out about his books. Those types of things.
That's the website. So that's the foundation website.
Oh, that's
more about the foundation.
Website.
Yeah, they'll find my books. I'm not so much worried about the whole books. I really want veterans to get what they need. Bright Path Funds, for those who want to support our organization, they can donate through that. But Bright Path Access is really what we're looking to push to get veterans some social emotional learning as well as financial literacy.
Right on. I like it, man. Well, hey, Aaron, toward the end of these things, what we always do is what I call words of wisdom. And we kind of go around and pick your brain a little bit and have you tell your words of wisdom. Mark always goes last. Mark is, retired sergeant major. He's been around the block for like 30, 40 years, something. I don't know. He's been in for a long time. He's got a lot of wisdom. So he always comes up with the zingers at the end. So I always let him go last. But we'll hit Mike first, and then we'll go to you, if that's all right, Aaron.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely could not follow Sergeant Major. So
Trust me, he'll
Like,
make sure you know. He'll make sure you know that you can't follow him too.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah,
to
he's always
resist
got
that urge to go like this.
I love it. All right, Mike, what do you got for us?
All right, I got this one. No matter how many mistakes you make or how slow you progress, you are still way ahead of everyone who wasn't actually trying.
Ooh, yeah, that is good. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, Aaron, what do you got for us, man?
This is a good one. All right. If you don't tell your money where to go, it'll disappear without saying goodbye.
Ooh. Wow.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's really
That's
good.
a damn good one.
Say that one more time. We got to hear it again.
If you don't tell your money where to go, it will disappear without saying goodbye.
Holy cow, man, that's good. That is really good. But is that your quote? Is that from you?
No, yeah, that's for me.
Okay.
But you know, you get a lot of quotes like this in my books. In my books, so all my books are verbatim on the courses. So that's why I'm saying you don't need to buy the book. You take the course, you get the book right in there. There's a download of each book with all the courses.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
you get quips like that in there.
Very nice. That's a good one, man. I like that. Yeah. And of course, we come down to the final here. Mark O'Loughlin.
Go ahead, beat that, Sergeant
Major retired.
What's up?
I'm not sure if I can, but I'm gonna. I'm kind of you started inspiring me with all the stuff that you do, and especially the 501c3, so that veterans can take that free. So I'm going to quote Ronald Reagan here and say, "There's no limit to how much good you can do when you don't care who gets the credit."
Ooh, that's good.
So that's out to you.
Good.
That's a shout out to you, Aaron.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That is awesome.
So much. I did get chills from that. You know, I do appreciate you very much. I'm hoping that we can definitely follow up. I'm looking for endorsements that I can find my sponsors for on the back end. But yeah, my focus is just trying to help these folks.
Yeah, it's important, man.
Yep, it's great because, like I said, we got the Wounded Warrior Project. We got our criteria that we have to, closely go by, not set in stone. But if it's another tool in the tool bag that we can offer them, all more power to them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. We also have the power to take any of your material and turn it into online courses as well. So that's where I'm looking to become the educational resource for organizations like that. Because if you have like 3 or 4 books that you're like, it's a workshop and you're like, oh, we'd love to have this offered online. Well, you give them to me, you give me a couple of weeks, they'll be online courses with video. That's
wow.
So that's part of, my background is web development. So 30 years of this. And I have this online academy that I pay for every month to keep it up there, but I can have another 100 online courses.
Wow.
So,
through that academy.
Correct. Yes. Well, It's all through I pay for something called Kajabi, which is an online learning online. It's an LMC learning platform. And we currently have 60 courses now, but part of my vision, because getting and creating courses to put online has been difficult, and I can streamline that and make it cost effective for veteran organizations or organizations serving veterans.
Yeah.
I'm 100%, so I'm kind of retired and I'll make money on all the other stuff. So if I can create this ecosystem to support other veteran agencies, then it just makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, very much so. Well, shoot, Aaron, thanks for coming on and doing this, man. Truly appreciate it. Everyone's got to go check it out. I'll throw it back up one more time here. brightpathaccess.org. Go check it out. See what he's got going on there. Take some of his courses. I know I'm going to go look at them for sure. Yeah, thanks for coming on and sharing, man. It was a good time.
All right, thanks. I really do appreciate you guys. If you ever need me again, I'm happy to come back on.
Absolutely. Hey, don't hang up on me when I do this outro. Don't go anywhere. I'll bring you back in here in a little bit. Sound good? All right. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255 or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. I know Mike and Mark care about you. I know Aaron cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to the buddies you serve with, ask them how they're doing. If they need that helping hand, please give it to them. All right, fellas, one last time. Thank you very much to all the listeners out there. Stay motivated. Change your socks.
No more 22. On to the journey and finish the fight.